Hello, Spartans. Miss G here with day 7 of Inktober 2020. Today's topic is fancy. So, my first thing was, how am I going to create something that's Halloweeny? It's October and it's also fancy. So, I decided that I felt like swirls. I love Tim Burton. And so, you know how he always has the nice little swirly effects on a lot of his work? I felt like swirls would be the way to go. So I decided just to create some fancy kind of things, like the moon is always pretty, candlelight is always considered fancy, candles with curvy handles on them, flowers. So I decided just to use some things like that, and make curvy backgrounds and curvy pieces to everything, and that be considered my fancy. So I'm going to do all of this in gel pens today. I figured I'm just going to play with all of these crazy gel pens I have. And if you look, you can see that it looks like they're all blues and blacks, but they're different tones, different values of blues and blacks. So I have some really black blacks. I have some grays. I have some silvers, the same things with the oranges and the yellows. The only thing that was kind of a problem with doing this one is I love the background watercolor washes here, but then a lot of the colors that I wanted to use, especially for like the candlelight and the moon and stuff like that, were very, very similar. So you can't really see them very well at first. Once I start adding the details and I start adding the contrast and some of it pops out. But with these Inktober drawings. The whole point of them is that you're developing your drawing skills, you're experimenting, you're trying something new. And I definitely learned some things through this process. If I had it to go back and do over, there's definitely some things that I would have done differently. One of them being, I think I would have used a different surface to create on. The other one being, I might would have thought about my background a little bit more before I started working so much on my foregrounds, because I tend to tell everyone to teach, work from the background forward. But then sometimes when you're just doing quick illustrations that you're making up as you go, that's easier said than done, because in order to do the background first, you really have to have a plan and know what's going to be in the foreground. And with this, I obviously didn't really have that figured completely out. I was trying to just make it up as I go. So for that reason, I end up having to try to work in between things to make other things stand out. And I'm not a fan of outlining things. Outlining things very much make them look cartoony. It flattens them no matter how much value or how much modeling you do. It's going to make your elements look very flat, which I ended up doing that a lot in this one, but it's okay. It ends up looking kind of cartoony at the end. So that's all fine and good. But there's definitely a few things I would have done differently. I do like the way the lines over the moon give kind of a cloud effect, but at the same time, a lot of movement in the piece. And then right here, I was like, all right, I've got to make some of this stuff stand out a little bit more. And I have no idea how to do that. So this is where you just kind of let the brain take over and just whatever happens, happens. And sometimes it turns out great. You love it. And sometimes it doesn't. So I started kind of working in some hatching, some shadowing and stuff with my pens around the outside. And then I'm like, hey, let's make this little flower stand out and make it black. That was such a bad idea. I am so not happy with this part right here. But, like I said, it's a learning experience. Whatever happens, happens. I was happy with the way the reds and then the black gel pens, just for some hatching in the background to create more movement, more depth in the piece, worked out. I really did like that part. But you'll see in the final image, everything's pretty cool except for the flower. I'm still not happy with it. But that's just the way things go. You do what you do. Sign them, date them, ta-da. So there you go, day 7, guys. I hope your drawings are going well. Talk to you soon.